Sarah Ferguson is scared that Andrew will be targeted. Inside the Duchess's private fears. Welcome to Crown Chronicles, your royal gateway to truth, intrigue, and the untold stories behind Britain's most powerful family. If you love deep dives into royal secrets, scandals, and emotional realities hidden behind palace walls, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our royal circle today. You won't want to miss the next revelation that's shaking the monarchy. Now, today's story takes us into the heart of a woman who has lived every shade of royal life, from fairy tale to fiasco. Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, once the flame-haired darling of Buckingham Palace, is now quietly living a very different chapter. And according to royal insiders, she's terrified. Not for herself, but for the man she stood beside through decades of triumph and disgrace, Prince Andrew. Behind the palace gates, whispers suggest that Sarah is scared her ex-husband, and still close companion, could become a target. Not just in the public eye, but in ways far more personal and dangerous. For years, Sarah and Andrew's relationship has been one of the most unconventional in royal history. They divorced in 1996, yet never truly separated. They've shared homes, shared finances, and stood by one another in moments of ruin. But now, sources close to the Duchess say she fears Andrew's isolation, shame, and public ridicule have left him deeply vulnerable, and that he could be targeted both emotionally and politically as the monarchy reshapes itself under King Charles III. Let's rewind to understand how we got here. Once celebrated as the handsome war hero, Prince Andrew's reputation collapsed under the weight of scandal. His disastrous BBC Newsnight interview in 2019, meant to clear his name, did exactly the opposite. It exposed a man seemingly unaware of the gravity of his associations, his tone detached, his words defensive. Within days, his royal duties were stripped. Military titles gone. Patronages gone. And from that moment, his life as a working royal effectively ended. Through it all, one person stood by him, Sarah Ferguson. The woman once branded a royal embarrassment herself suddenly became his fiercest defender. She has never turned her back on him. Calling him a kind, good man, even when the rest of the world recoiled. Now, insiders say she's consumed with worry. Not about public opinion, that storm has already passed, but about what happens to Andrew next. Cut off from official royal protection, stripped of his royal roles, and largely shunned by many within the institution, Andrew is, in Sarah's eyes, an easy target. According to one close friend, Sarah feels that without the full security and structure of royal life, Andrew could be vulnerable, not just to criticism, but to those who might want to exploit his situation. Her fears aren't entirely unfounded. Andrew now lives a reclusive existence at Royal Lodge, a grand but isolated estate in Windsor Great Park. Once a place of family laughter, it has become a quiet fortress. The Duke rarely appears in public, rarely travels, and has been excluded from major royal events. Even at the late Queen's funeral, his presence was subdued, a stark contrast to the central role he once played. Sarah, meanwhile, still shares that home. Officially, they are divorced. Unofficially, they live like an old married couple who have found comfort in loyalty rather than love. Their bond, forged through scandal and survival, remains unbroken. They are inseparable, says another insider. Whatever anyone thinks of their past, they have each other, and Sarah is fiercely protective of him. But why is she so scared now? Part of it, sources claim, is emotional. Sarah reportedly worries that Andrew's mental state has deteriorated. The humiliation of losing everything he was born into has taken a heavy toll. He's a proud man, one palace contact notes. Being cut off, sidelined, and constantly mocked has left him bitter and lonely. Sarah is one of the few people he trusts, and she fears what that isolation could do to him. Another part of her fear is more practical, the issue of security. Royal protection for Andrew has been significantly reduced since his withdrawal from public duties. While he still resides on royal property, his security arrangements are not what they once were. Sarah, who also lives within the Royal Lodge grounds, has reportedly raised concerns that the Duke's reduced status could make him a target, for opportunists, intruders, or even those seeking to make a political statement, and yet, even in her fear, Sarah Ferguson has refused to abandon him. Instead, she's doubled down on her support, publicly, subtly, and sometimes defiantly. At public events, she often speaks warmly of him, describing him as a good man and a wonderful grandfather. To her, Andrew's mistakes do not define him, they humanize him, but King Charles sees things differently. Determined to preserve the image of a slimmed-down, scandal-free monarchy, the king has reportedly drawn firm boundaries. Andrew will not return to royal duties. He will not represent the crown. And while Charles has ensured his brother has a roof over his head, he's made it clear that rehabilitation is not on the table. That, insiders say, has intensified Sarah's anxiety. She knows the monarchy is moving on, and fears that as it does, Andrew will be left behind completely, with no role, no purpose, and no one to turn to except her. In private, friends describe Sarah's mood as deeply protective, almost maternal. She knows what it feels like to be vilified, to be mocked by the press, to become a national punchline. In the 1990s, she was humiliated over financial troubles and tabloid scandals. She was photographed in compromising situations. Condemned by the palace, and written off by the public. She's lived that fall from grace, and she knows how dark it can get. Now, she sees Andrew walking the same lonely road. And that's what frightens her most. Royal commentators note that Sarah's loyalty to Andrew is both her greatest strength and her biggest curse. It earns her admiration for her steadfastness, but also criticism for aligning herself so closely with a man whose reputation remains radioactive. Yet for Sarah, it's not about politics or PR. It's about humanity. She still loves him, says a former royal aide. Maybe not romantically, but she feels bound to him. They're family in the truest sense, flawed, loyal, and unbreakable. As for Andrew himself, his days are reportedly spent in quiet routine, long walks, occasional rides around Windsor, private dinners with close friends, and an endless stream of legal consultations and financial negotiations. The man once destined for royal greatness is now living in exile, albeit a luxurious one, and through it all, Sarah is there, watching, worrying, protecting. Those close to her say she prays for peace, both for Andrew and for herself. But deep down, she knows that redemption may never come. The royal world has a long memory, and the crown rarely forgives so publicly. So tonight, as lights dim inside Royal Lodge and the royal headlines move on to newer scandals, one thing remains unshaken: the loyalty of Sarah Ferguson. A woman who, for all her faults, has proven that love and loyalty sometimes survive even the heaviest of crowns. Thank you for watching Crown Chronicles, where royal truth meets real emotion. Don't forget to subscribe and join us for more royal revelations, hidden stories, and exclusive updates from inside the House of Windsor. Because here, we don't just tell royal tales, we uncover the hearts behind the headlines.